So building trust and respectful conversation. So there's a wonderful poet called named Claudia Rankin, and she's got a quote within her book Citizen: An American Lyric, which is, "I feel most coloured when I'm thrown against a sharp white background." So I would like you to think about, you know, if you are a black or brown person that was brought up, say, in London, when you go to the professional world, so say a very, it could be Parliament, it could be, one of our institutions, or it could be an ad agency. When you go into an ad agency or say one of our institutions in this country, even though London is, nearly at 50% Black, Asian, minority, ethnic, when you go into an institution or a business in London, it could be the very first time you've ever felt like a minority within your city. So I feel most coloured when I'm thrown against a sharp white background. Obviously, you can interchange this to gender, class, etc., etc. But for the purpose of this talk today, as we know, we're anchoring it in race. So I invite you to kind of think about that. I also invite you as mentors to think about how, for some of your mentees, you may be the first person first white person they've ever built a relationship with. All their friends and family may be Black. The businesses in which they work in, that they own, might not have any white people within it. So I invite you to think about that. Something also I'd like you to just think about really quickly. So it's a term by Du Bois, originally coined it, then Fanon also spoke about it, as well as Gilroy, who's an incredible theorist who's based out of King's College, London, and he's a historian. And Black double conscious is, I don't just perceive myself as I, but I also perceive myself via the white gaze. So obviously we've heard a lot around the male gaze, but I want you to think about the white gaze. And I think that causes, a split in consciousness. So I perceive myself as I, Sereena Abbassi, though I also perceive myself through the eyes of white people that look at me, see me, interact with me. And that's a lot of work. That is a lot of work to be thinking in this split way. And in my opinion, I think that's also why Black, Asian, minority, ethnics index very high when it comes to our mental institutions in this country as well, because you're constantly having to think about how the world is viewing you and perceiving you. So, a few tips before asking a question. So a few tips for you when you're engaging with your mentee, or when you're engaging with anyone that is Black or brown. Before asking a question, be sure to center the feelings of the marginalized. Do not ask questions that will re-traumatize. So I've been quite alarmed by how a lot of businesses have asked their Black colleagues to get up and basically do a town hall and share their experience of racism. For me, that's appalling. We would never, ever, ever ask a victim of sexual assault to give accounts of the trauma of their assault in front of their organisation. So why would we do that for race? Active listening. So it's about listening. My dad always taught us, we've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we should be doing a double amount of listening. But I think particularly when you are from the dominant group, so if you are white in layman's terms, in the UK, there's a huge amount of listening that needs to be done without probing. So it's about listening, and people offering up information voluntarily. It's about self-reflection. So as I said, you know, if you are in a position of power, which you all are, and you have any prejudice, you have to do that work. You have to reflect. You know, that's why I don't run unconscious bias training, because actually I think we're fully aware of our biases. And I think actually the pandemic that we've had or are in has allowed us, you know, lockdown allowed us to do that level of self-reflection. It's about making comfort with the discomfort. You're going to say things wrong. So it's about, I think this is the next one. It's about, you know, make comfort with the fact that you're going to get things wrong, say the wrong thing, but apologize quickly and commit to doing and being better. And that really is all you can do, in my opinion. And do not stop learning. So as I just mentioned a little bit about authorship. It's really important to, you know, when you are from a marginalized group, we are used to having other people tell our stories. As we know, British history has huge gaping holes in it. It is, you know, British history as we know it in our schools is taught through the lens of a cisgendered white middle class to upper class man that's able-bodied. And, you know, in this work, we need to give other people the opportunity to tell their stories, to tell their truths, to tell their reality. And, you know, Black history, brown history is British history, in my view. So, you know, when you are the author of someone else's story, you're the authoritarian of someone's story. I saw this in a lecture once and I absolutely loved it.